It's time for fantasy.
Number 34 on the offense is on my fantasy team. So, touchdown.
Versus reality.
Break out the red panties. We're baby.
With Levack Goz on 104.5 The Team.
Yes, I am getting closer and closer to being rich, baby. As I went 2-1 this weekend. What did you do?
2-1 as well.
Oh, a little deadlock.
1-2 punch of different funches. CJ Beathard, the Funchies.
This keeps you ahead of me slightly by a half a point, as you are 12-14-1 on the season. I am 12-15, but I think you hear me knocking, and I think you know I'm coming in. And I'm going to be taking back my lead spot. Because we tied and because you have a half-game lead on me, it is up to you who will go first in this week's Fantasy versus Reality.
Oh, I'm going first.
Uh-oh.
And I'm coming out swinging. Quarterback position, we're talking PPR projections, point per reception projection. We go by ESPN standard scoring there for PPR leagues. We start at quarterback, and we come out with some Fitz magic. Ryan Fitzpatrick, the backup quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the former quarterback of the New York Jets, the Harvard guy. We've seen this cycle so many times before. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a backup quarterback. Starter gets injured. Fitzpatrick plays fantastic. He gets a big contract. He becomes the starter. Then he's terrible, and then he gets cut. We're right in that one phase of the cycle where he's the backup quarterback. He's not going to get by Jameis Winston, but I expect him to play well. Remember, earlier this season, off the bench, Ryan Fitzpatrick against the Arizona Cardinals went for 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. I get the Buccaneers getting crushed in that game, but still he looked good. Fitzpatrick, all I need is 255 yards, a touchdown, and I can still get an interception. He's got a high projection. How about 16.6? 16.6 for Ryan Fitzpatrick, ranks 9th among fantasy quarterbacks this week. It's a high projection for Ryan Fitzpatrick, but New York Jets defense has allowed the 10th most fantasy football points to quarterbacks this season. Give me the beardless Ryan Fitzpatrick to beat the 16.6 projected fantasy points this week.
Are you familiar with the story of Samson?
Sort of.
His strength came from his hair.
No, I'm
his
not.
hair, lost his strength. Shave that beautiful beard of Fitzpatrick, lose the Fitzmagic. I'm telling you right now that you are onto something with the familiarity of Fitzpatrick and the Jets, but you're on the wrong side of it, my friend. The Jets laying 2.5 at Tampa Bay, and I'm sorry to tell you this, guys. Fitz is going to get beat up. Fitz is going to take a whooping.
No.
This is an opportunistic defense. There's no Mike Evans, no Jameis Winston, and what already feels like a lost season for the Bucs is going to get a lot worse. Meanwhile, the Jets feel great about their young nucleus. Give me the Legion of Room. Minus 2.5 for my first pick.
Gross. The Legion of Room. By the way, you can hear Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Legion of Room, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and everybody else. 12 o'clock, our coverage gets underway. 1 o'clock kickoff here on the team on Sunday.
Fitz throws more touchdowns to the Jets than he does to the Bucs.
Oh, I'll take that bet all day. I got Fitzpatrick for fantasy points. He better throw a bunch of touchdowns to the Buccaneers this week. I hope so. Running back position. I like this one here, but it gets another high point. This guy is projected to have the 4th most fantasy points among running backs. This stat might blow you away. Did you know that Jacksonville Jaguar running back Leonard Fournette has not played in an NFL game since October 15th?
What?
He hasn't played since October 15th. There was an injury one week, a bye week the next week, and then the suspension last week. So fantasy football owners know this, that Fournette, when he's out there, he's fantastic. But weird things have happened to him along the last 3 weeks. Give me Leonard Fournette in this matchup coming up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Of the 6 games that Leonard Fournette has played in his NFL career, 3 of which he's gone over 100 yards, with his high projection of 19.1. This is what I need from Leonard Fournette. I need 100 yards, I need a touchdown, and I need 3 catches. Not easy to get, but again, half his career put out has been over 100 yards. Fournette is healed and ready to go. A month layoff. Chargers, middle of the road when it comes to fantasy football points to running back, 17th fewest. But give me Leonard Fournette, a top 5 play this week in fantasy football, and a high number, 19.1. He beats that projection against the Chargers.
I got some bad news for you. You know the last time the Jacksonville Jaguars won 3 straight games?
October 15th. No, I don't know.
You got to go back 5 years, my friend.
5 years?
Yes. Do you remember the head coach of the Jacksonville team before Doug Marrone?
Gus Bradley?
Gus Bradley. Do you know who the defensive coordinator is for the Los Angeles Chargers?
Gus Bradley.
Yes, sir. There's going to be some vendettas on that field. However, I believe in St. Doug, and I think you might be right. And I think they will rewrite history, bring themselves back on the right side of things. All my notes tell me to go Chargers, but my gut, and we know that's substantial, says you're right, and Fournette and the Jags will get it done this weekend. But that's not my pick.
Oh, it's not your pick?
Oh, no.
Oh,
that
you
was
threw me
just
off
backing
there.
you up.
I heard you saying St. Doug, and I'm like, wait, did we both pick the same game twice? This is insane.
No.
Okay.
That's just me being your friend and
I
helping you
appreciate
out.
it. Thank you, St. Doug.
My pick is also substantial as a lot of points, as in the Cleveland Browns are getting 10.5 points from the Detroit Lions on a short week. Now, here's the deal. Obviously, Detroit far better than Cleveland. Cleveland, no wins. They can't get things done, apparently. However, they opened as a 12-point favorite and was been bet down to 10.5. Cleveland is going to win a game this year. Not this one. They will win one this year, but they will keep this within single digits. I'll take those 10.5 points. Give me the Brownies plus 1.5 over the Lions.
How sad is it now for Cleveland? Look, you guys are probably going to win a game. You will win a game. And this week, we think you're going to keep it within single digits. Go Browns. That's what
a
you
win.
are.
That's a
All right,
win.
Cleveland. You are by far and away, Cleveland Browns, the worst professional sports franchise right now. It's not even close. I don't even know who's in second. It's the Browns, and then the Browns again. You know what? I think they're actually third, too. The Browns also are third. It's the worst. That's their new thing. And you know what? With the action in Vegas and the stats you laid out there, okay, fine. Maybe it's a victory. Maybe they'll give them a win at the end of the game so they keep it within 9. Last spot here is my wide receiver tight end position. Of all the fantasy versus realities, I actually said it out loud today, off the air. I struggled to try to figure out where the best play was for this one. I finally settled on this guy. And the guys over at Death Wish Coffee will like it because I have a bet over there involving this wide receiver. It is wide receiver Robert Woods. Sean McVay likes to throw the football. Jared Goz played really good this season. All I need from Robert Woods is 5 catches for 61 yards. That's all I need. 5 catches, 61 yards.
Okay. So
he hits his projection of 11.1. Now, the Houston Texans this season, they've allowed the 3rd fewest fantasy points to running backs, but the 2nd most to fantasy football wide receivers. So Todd Gurley's not expected to have a great game, so that means Jared Goff and company are going to have to throw the football. Robert Woods, I like the matchup against the Texans secondary. Take him to beat projections this week against Houston. I'm like Robert Woods in my wide receiver / tight end spot.
All right, that's very nice. Here's my 3rd and final spot. I've told you this before. You don't want to travel across the country and play a team, especially when there's absolute turmoil in your locker room. I mean, if you had a guy come out and anonymously say that your coach had lost the team, and another guy come out and say that the fines and this, that, and the other thing are ridiculous, you would never take that team to go all the way across the country and play a football game. Unless you're me. I'm going to take the New York Giants. I'm going to lay the 3 points in San Francisco. I think JPP is going to spend more time in that backfield than Carlos Hyde does. I think this is going to be a beatdown from the Giants. There are a lot of players on that team that have pride and are sick and tired of hearing about who quit on who and whatever happened. Niners are not good. Give me the Giants, -3, and this is another thing, too. This game opened as a pick'em. There was a point when the Niners were favored, and then a large sum of money, we call it wise guy funds, moved that number 3 points in the direction of the Giants. Give me the G-Men, Big Blue. I'm laying 3 points in the Bay.
3 points is huge. To have that big of a swing midweek, to have the Giants get that. I want to do this. This is a fantasy versus reality first we're going to do right here. Woods, we may need your judgment here.
No, we don't.
Levack, if Jimmy Garoppolo ends up being the starting quarterback, because earlier in the week, Kyle Shanahan said C.J. Beathard is the starting quarterback for now. If Garoppolo is the quarterback for the Niners, do you want to change your pick? I will offer this up now. I'll give it an asterisk right now. If
I expect Garoppolo to end up in this game because I think Beathard's going to get crushed.
Okay.
I think Olivier Vernon's supposed to be back. JPP is going to be very... JPP might have double-digit sacks. I'm just kidding. He's going to have at least 2. All
right. He'll have 9.5 then. Fine.
I'm going to set the line at 9.5.
All right, so you don't want to move on it even
I don't
want
to move on it. You go ahead, give your recap, and then I'll give my own.
All right, here's my recap again. We're talking PPR scoring. ESPN PPR scoring. We're hoping these guys guys beat their projections. And if you got some bye weeks, maybe these are the guys you play in your lineups this week. Quarterback position, I'm going Tampa Bay Buccaneer, backup quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 16.6 for projected points. We're talking 255 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He's ranked 9th projected this week for fantasy football quarterback scoring. Fitzpatrick, a great play against his old team, the Jets, who allow the 10th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Running back. This guy hasn't played since October 15th. Jacksonville Jaguar running back Leonard Fournette, projected to have the 4th highest total of running backs, 19.1 against a team in the Los Angeles Chargers. Give that to me. Give me Fournette at running back and give me Robert Woods, LA Ram wide receiver, to beat his projection of 11.1. 5 catches, 61 yards against the Houston Texan defense, who's been horrible against the pass this season.
Your picks. All right, let's talk about them. Let's do it. Let's go first things first. I disagree with you strongly about Fitzpatrick. I think the Jets are going to go out there and get it done. Minus 2.5 points. Cleveland, every dog has its day. Yours will be Sunday against those big cats called the Lions. Give me the Browns plus 10.5. And finally, the Giants will resemble something of a professional football team when they travel to San Francisco and beat the 49ers by more than 3 points. And in doing so, we will field phone calls on Monday from people angry that the Giants won and ruined their draft stock. That is our guarantee. Fantasy versus reality. We do it every Friday right here on 104.5 The Team. We'll post those picks for you and those Goz's Fantasy Insight at 1045theteam.com in just a little bit. We are live from SEFQ, and we're very excited. The basketball season about to get underway. But speaking of that Bay Area team, the Niners, speaking of the Raiders and everything else going on, how about Schenectady's own Damon Bruce, who's out there in the Bay Area doing radio, breaking it down for us next.